Welcome to Creighton Prep Winter Sports Media Day. Our first round of interviews is with the basketball team. Coach Lukey's here, Luke Jungers, Martell Evans, Brendan Preisman, and I, Tyler Reedy, here to ask the questions and get you everything you need to know about basketball heading into this season. So, Coach Lukey, we'll start with you. Heading into this year, obviously lost a good amount of talent last season, but bringing plenty back. Who are some of the guys to watch, both returners and newcomers?
Well, first of all, thanks for doing this. Obviously, we really appreciate you guys giving up your time to help support the winter sports and all sports at Prep, but also to help get the word out about Creighton Prep sports. So thanks for that.
Yeah,
obviously, you got to build around, I say, the big three, but Martell, Casey, and Luke are really kind of the guys that got to be leaders, both on and off the floor, but primarily they got to be leaders on the court, and they got to help us get in good situations, both offensively and defense, by, communicating with the other guys. But outside of Luke and Casey and Martell, I would say, Sean being back this year after, sitting out last year because of COVID, I think Sean's going to give us a world of experience. And then other guys, there's plenty of talent. We just got to get the experience and get them game experience so that they feel more comfortable in a game type situation. But I think, Joey Riechel's got a chance to make an impact. Joe Sudback, Jackson Dasher, all seniors can have impacts. We got we need a second big, so either Josh Townley or Michael Bird have to step up and give us, support in certain situations. So, and they're talented enough, they can do it. So a lot of good talent, just got to get the experience, and really got to rely on the big three to get us where we need to be.
And if you just want to scoot down a little more there.
Okay.
Be a little bit out of the camera. There we go. All right. Brendan?
All right. So, yeah, Coach, you said a lot of talent, a lot of experience, and a lot of that talent was on last year's team, which ended up finishing the year ranked in the top 25 nationally. So coaching that team, such a great special team, what lessons did you learn from coaching that team last year, especially in such a crazy, chaotic winter, that you can take into this year with this team?
I look back at this group similar to how we looked at the group in 2019. No one really knew about, who Justin City was, or Brendan Buckley or Connor Buckley or any of those guys. And, there wasn't much talk about the talent level we had here. And so I go back to 2019 that we really just have to kind of trust the process. There's going to be good days and there's going to be bad days. And it's a marathon, not a sprint, to use kind of a cliche. But, the goal is to be playing our best basketball, the last week of February when districts come, so that we can peak at the right time. There's a lot of teams who are probably more talented right now, but, how much better they get along the ride is going to be a big question. This team has a lot of talent and a lot of room for growth. And going back to what, I talked about earlier in 2019, we knew there was a lot of talent on that team, but we knew there was a lot of growth. We know there's a lot of talent on this team, and we know there's a lot of growth. So we got to just trust the process and, try to limit the times of, mistakes, and then we've got to learn from those mistakes. I told these guys the other day, it's like being in a classroom. We have to take what we learn every day in practice and apply it to our quizzes and our test. And our first test was yesterday against a really good Elkhorn North team who I think is going to make some big strides and compete at Class B for maybe a berth at state and maybe a state title this year. But we have to be ready for our first test, which is Thursday against Grand Island, who's a very well-coached team, and they obviously have a tremendous player in Isaac Trout. But we also feel really comfortable about our team, and we just got to get better and apply what we learn every day so that when it's test time, we can excel.
Yeah, so looking at last year and this year as well, you have a team that's not necessarily the most talented on paper, but can play a high level of basketball with just about anybody in the state. So in your eyes, what does this team need to do to truly play the Prep brand of basketball this year?
Well, that's been kind of a theory for, I'd say, the last 10, 12 years. we've got a lot of really talented kids, and I believe we got a great program, and we don't get talked a lot. We don't get talked up a lot because we don't have the magnitude of Division I players, and it's. I think the world is fixated, and obviously the Metro is on the Division I athlete. But I mean, you look at some of our guys last year, and you look at some of our guys this year. They can compete with anybody, and at the end of the day, our job and our goal is to represent Prep to the fullest, and then our second job is to do the best we can for the school, and we have goals. And our goal is the same as it is this year as it was for the last 10 years, and that will never change. But we just have to get better, and hopefully these seniors like Casey, Sean, Martell, and Luke will help everybody in game situations to remain calm, relaxed. We're not going to be able to control every bounce of the ball. We can only control what we can control, and that's who we are and what we do. And there's going to be ups and downs, and we just got to be able to handle every kind of twist and turn in the game. And I think we will. I like this group. I've said it from day one. I like this group. We've got to get better, though, and we got to play on both ends of the ball. Sometimes I think we feel like we just can outscore people, and we've got to rely on defense and doing the right things, and we'll get there. So I really like them, and it is what it is about Prep. I mean, people love to beat us, but they don't love to talk about us, and we just got to live with that.
All right, so transitioning to Luke. Luke, you racked up 30 points in Saturday's win over Elkhorn North, and last year you were the team's leading scorer at 12 points a game. But this year, A.J. Rollins is gone, Justin City's gone, Majay Wiley's gone. The offense is going to run through you. What was it like really having that experience for the first time against Elkhorn North?
I would just say it's my first time being really the center of attention on the offensive side. Like last year, I was really a big compliment to Justin and Brendan because, I mean, when a lot of attention's on them, it's easy to slip by and get a few buckets here and there and be a leading scorer. But this year, I mean, I think I'm going to get a lot more defensive attention just from being the only returning starter. So I feel like this year it's just going to be a little different. Have to fight a little bit more to get the points I want and to score when I need to.
So then going over to you, Martell, everybody knows just watching you play throughout the summer the kind of athleticism and spark you can provide to the court, but this is also your first time having experience as a starter. So what are some of the things you're looking to accomplish this season?
Really just helping the team get better, kind of playing there wherever I'm needed, encouraging my teammates and really just providing for the environment around me, and really just overall go back to state, take a state title, but yeah, really just doing whatever I can to help the team be the best that we can be.
Yeah, so helping the team obviously involves working hard in the gym, putting in the hours. I saw a little bit of you guys doing that last week. Luke, everybody knows about all the hours you spend in the gym. Martell, you were on a ton of highlight reels over the summer. So are there any specifics you've been working on, stuff to add to your game for this year, or is it more of just improving the stuff you already know?
I would say my biggest thing was just being able to control the ball a little bit better and get shots off the dribble because I knew I wasn't going to be able to just catch and shoot as much this year. So that's been a big thing. And then my mid-post game has been a big focus for the last year and a half, I'd say.
For me, I'd say the big aspects I've really been working on more is kind of focusing more on my shooting, just because I know from scout last year and everything, seeing over the summer, a lot of teams are going to know that I can drive to the basket a lot, so they're going to obviously accommodate to that. And then also, working on my pace and just improving my finishes more than they are now.
So probably a couple more questions for both you guys. Last year's graduating class, obviously a lot of talent, but a lot of great leadership as well. Really helped to keep the team in a lot of close games against tough teams. What do the two of you and the rest of the senior class need to do to help fill that leadership void with a lot of fresh faces on the team?
I think just being helpful to the underclassmen is a huge thing. Since we have so many new guys, and just being able to be a good role model for them is huge because Brendan and Justin were that to me, and I think they were that to everyone else on the team last year. I think that's huge and helps us reload every year and bring back some sort of experience and makes people want to stay and compete.
Yeah, like Luke said, definitely being role models to the underclassmen, and for those who don't have a lot of experience, just like the class last year was for us. And I know, especially for me, like watching Justin and Majay, and kind of watching how they did everything and how they led, really helped me. So I feel I have to, me and as well as the rest of the senior class, have to bring the same energy towards the underclassmen and just working together and building them up and getting them ready for after we leave as well.
So, Brendan, if you
Yep.
don't have any more, I've got one more.
Yeah, I've got one more. So, watching practice, one thing I noticed was that there's a lot of guys who were really confident in taking a shot. It looked like Joe Sudbeck and Sean Ramachandran especially were really, really confident in their shots. They were confident when they were open. They were confident even when they weren't open. And you guys, too. Like, Luke, I saw you take the ball from coast to coast a couple of times. Martell, I saw you pull up from three on the fast break a couple of times. So I guess my question is, how do you think that confidence in shooting, not just for the stars of the team, but also for basically everyone in the rotation, how does that affect the team's mentality, everyone's confidence in their shot as the season starts to get going?
I think it just helps because, shooters shoot. You can't get down on yourself and basically lose hope. And, last game we saw it, Joey Rischel missed a bunch of threes early. He kept shooting. He ended up making 2 or 3, I think. And same thing with me. I missed my first 3 or 4 and then got it going in the second half. And that's just how it goes. Sometimes you can't force the ball in. You can wish it in, but it's not going to work. You just got to keep shooting. Numbers are usually on your side.
So, one last question I'll ask before we move on to swimming. Last year, really tough schedule, a lot of great top 10 matchups at home. Now that flips over to the road, so you've got a lot to be excited for. So, all 3 of you guys, if you could pick one game that you're most excited for this season, what would it be?
At Bell West.
Yeah, I would say at Bell West as well.
Revenge game.
This will probably get me in trouble, but I'm excited for the Grand Island game.
Yeah.
I think it's a great opportunity for our guys to really step up and play against a really quality team on the road. And this one's going to prepare us for, at Westside, at Bell West, at Central. It doesn't get easy at Papio. There is a ton of games that we're on the road, and we're going to have to grow up real quick. So I'm excited for this week. I want to see how they, handle a road trip and handle getting off a bus and handle – I think it's going to be a really fun crowd out there because, let's face it, we've played GI a couple times the last couple of years, and they got us once here at home on a buzzer beater, and we beat them in the district final, and last year we beat them by 19 or whatever, and I think they're going to be ready to play us and ready to hopefully try to beat us, and we got to be prepared for that. But, that's something about putting that prep jersey on. A team could be 1-18 and they want to beat prep, and that's their lone circled game on the calendar. So we just got to be prepared for that. But I want to go back real quick to the shooting question. We tell our guys in practice, you got to shoot with confidence, and you're out there to shoot the ball. And if you're open and you're a quality shooter, you got to shoot it. Otherwise, you might find yourself on the bench. And I think a lot of people feel like, yeah, we have a disciplined offense, but we run and we gun and we play defense. And guys that can shoot are told when they're open to shoot the ball. Otherwise, that might be the best shot we get all possession, and we want a driving kick. We want a wide open 3. So I think our guys, they love that style of basketball. They love getting up and down. They love firing it up, and that's what we expect.
All right, basketball season begins Thursday night in Grand Island. Home opener is Friday, December 10th against Omaha Northwest. It'll be a 2-game homestand that weekend, so be sure to pack the cage. Should be a fun season. Martell, Luke, Coach Lukey, thanks for joining us today, and best of luck this year.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Here with the historic Creighton Prep swimming program, Coach Beck, Luke Muse, Ben Melidi, all here with us, and Coach Beck, we'll start with you with a few questions. Just what are your overall thoughts on the makeup of this team heading into the season?
Really, really solid leadership so far from our seniors. So I can breathe easy on this one. I think things are going to go in a good direction with guys like Ben and Luke. It's pretty easy to keep everything rolling in a good direction. So, and we got almost a record number of freshmen that came out this year. We got 10 seniors, 10 freshmen, or is it 12 and 12?
I think it's 10 and 10.
Yeah, we got 10 and 10 on the first and last years, and then sophomore juniors we got 6 and 6.
That's fantastic.
And we got three divers to fill it out. We got Paul Matthews returning on diving, and I know that he's very excited about where he's at with his diving. He's improved a ton since last March. He went to nationals this summer for diving, and he's raring to go.
Yeah, it's great to hear.
All right. So, Coach, speaking of the freshmen, a joke I used to make last year, I'm not sure if anybody else made it, but the joke I used to make was that some of the freshmen were younger than the title streak. Now that title streak is gone, how does fighting to get that back, to get it back to every year you know that another trophy is going in that case, how does fighting to get to that life back affect the motivation of this team?
Hopefully that it helps things a bit, because I think when you start winning that many times in a row, it's hard not to think that it's just automatically going to happen. And then it starts to seep in a little bit where I don't have to work quite as hard. But seeing how they got knocked off last year, it's easier to convince them that, hey, there's nothing's given. Yeah, we're going to be a strong team again, but we're the underdog. And we have to outwork everybody. We have to really step up our game and practices every day. That's our focus, is on making sure that our practice environment is quality, so that guys are continually getting uncomfortable, pushing themselves to that limit where they're forcing changes to be made.
Yeah, so aside from Ben and Luke, who we've got here, who are some other names, young and old, we should be watching for this upcoming season?
Well, for sure, John Watson is one to look for. He's a junior. He's a returning state champion, 2 individual events. He's gotten better over the off season. In the summer, he had a great summer. Went out and competed at nationals in Irvine, California. So John kind of is probably our top guy right now, but we have a bunch of guys that are able to train with him. And it's fun to go to practice and see those guys really get after it, and wonder who's going to be the one that's really impressing everyone today. And hopefully a bunch of other guys are trying to get in there with them. So John, I mentioned Paul Matthews. I think he's much improved. He might be a guy that could really score a lot of points at the state meet. Incoming freshmen, we got a few kids that are already doing some pretty impressive things. Ryan Menlick is, I'm not sure he identifies himself yet as a distance freestyler, but he is really talented and able to hold a great pace, and he's holding his own with those guys every day in practice. So yeah, that's just a few that stick out.
All right. So, Luke, you committed to swim at UNO. You did so at the commitment day we had a couple of weeks ago. So, first of all, congratulations for that. And second of all, what brought on that decision, not just committing to swim at a Division I university, but specifically staying local and swimming at UNO?
Yeah, so I always kind of knew I wanted to stay kind of local. I also happened to know the coach. I live just across the street from him. So kind of already establishing that relationship was really a key thing for me, just having a good relationship with a coach. And also the academic support there is really good, just in all of the requirements, but not only the requirements, the opportunities within like the academics, like the tutors that are available, and also just the opportunity to swim at a D1 university.
So, Ben, I'll ask you this one. Luke, feel free to add on to it if you'd like. But with the amount of state championships that have been won here, this program obviously has a very high pedigree and standard. So what do you and the rest of the seniors need to do to make sure that the underclassmen and this team as a whole can meet that standard?
I think they just need to realize that it's not going to come easy for them, and it's going to take a lot of hard work. Firsthand experience from the season last year, you know, it was obviously the defeat was very impactful on who I was as a swimmer, and some of these kids who maybe didn't swim at the state meet or they're incoming freshmen, they haven't fully grasped it, how hard you have to work and how that defeat impacts you. And so I think just ingraining that in their heads is going to be really, really vital. It's going to push them harder. It's going to be a challenge, but I think the senior class is really ready to push all of our guys in the right direction, and I'm really confident. And the mindset is coming quickly.
Yeah.
It's developing very fast, and I think as a team we're already bonded very well. Only 2 weeks in the season, so it's great to see.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, so it's great to hear that the team's bonded, and again, this is for both of you. And Coach Beck, feel free to chime in if you feel that you need to. But specifically from a swimmer's perspective, you guys were here for 2 championships of that long title run, and as you mentioned, we're trying to fight. You guys are trying to fight for that back, trying to get it back. So, team's already bonded together. What's the mindset looking like? Is it back to championship or bust, or where's the mindset at right now, heading into the season?
I can answer. The day after the state meet last year, everybody had Lincoln Southwest on their mind. Right now, it's all about coming after that number 1 spot, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I want a championship, and I think a lot of the guys on the team want a championship. Starting a streak again is probably my goal. As a class of 2022. I think that's special if we can get another streak going, and I feel confident that our underclassmen are gonna reel it up in the next few years and really, really keep it going. But right now, I want to start it up again.
Yeah.
I think that's my biggest goal. I don't know about you, Luke, but
Yeah, I think for sure starting the streak would be good. I think our mindset also right now is focusing kind of on the smaller things that are eventually going to build up and establishing that foundation in order to get that championship.
Yep. So, a bit of a fun question for you two to close it off. Last year at state, your specialty event was the 500 freestyle. Luke, you took 2nd. Ben, you took 5th. So, the lingering question is, who's going to get it done this year, Luke or Ben?
man, I'll tell you right now, I'm coming after Luke.
It'll be a challenge.
It will
We'll
be.
push
It will
each
be.
other.
We're getting closer. Our times are getting closer.
Yeah.
It'll be a lot of fun. I'm excited to compete. And to mention our 500 group is really strong.
Mhm.
We really push each other. So,
Yeah.
in practice every day, Luke and I are always going after each other's times, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Brendan, you got anything else?
No.
All right,
Got everything.
Creighton Prep Swimming looking to take back the state title. Coach Beck, Luke Muse, Ben Willity, thank you very much for being with us here today, and best of luck this season.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Our third interview here on Creighton Prep Winter Sports Media Day here with the wrestling team. Tyler Reedy and Brendan Prizeman here with Coach Fisher, Christian Grazer, President Sanchez. Thank you all for being with us today.
No problem.
Coach Fisher, start with you. Just what are your overall thoughts on the makeup of this year's team?
This year's team is probably the deepest team I've had in my 7 years here. It's here this year, the first year I had it. This team is definitely one of the best dual teams I've ever had.
Yeah.
They're very, very deep.
All right. Sorry. So aside from the 2 guys we're talking to today, both of whom are very talented, who are some other new wrestlers on the team that we should be looking at as the season starts to get into high gear?
So freshman Adonis Bonar is going to make a big splash this year. Looking for guys like Victor Kaminsky, Nate Sanchez, guys with varsity experience like that to make a big splash. Sam Sledge, Pierce Johnson was 1 match away from medaling last year. So guys like those guys are really hunting for medals this year.
Yeah, so coming off such an unconventional COVID year last season, what's the mindset of the team heading into this year?
This year we're back to full capacity tournaments, 2-day tournaments, so we can actually simulate the state tournament a little bit better as opposed to last year. So the mindset is prep pace, prep pressure. So we're going to be really working hard to make sure we're peaking at the right time in February.
All right, so President, this is a question for you. You guys got 3rd at state last year, and as Coach Fisher said, you got a lot of guys who did really well. So and a lot of them are coming back. So how does that experience help you guys, especially experience during such a crazy season? How will that experience help you heading into this year?
Well, I think from last year we gained a lot of knowledge on our opponents, so we know what to analyze and what to study and how to counter whatever to expect from them.
So Christian, looking at you as a senior and leader of this team, what are some of your goals both individually and for the team this season?
I just like to, for me personally, coming down, like my first year wrestling was freshman year, so looking up to like all these guys that were before me, senior leaders, I'm excited to fill that role, be a leader for my team, hold everybody accountable and see what we can do this year. I'm excited.
All right. So I think this is one of the final questions. Both of you guys had a chance to compete in some events throughout the off season. As Coach Fisher mentioned, you guys will have a better chance to simulate the state tournament experience throughout this year. So what can you take from the summer experiences, and what are you going to be able to take from the simulation experiences this year into those last few months of the season and into that state tournament?
I think like off-season tournaments really help with seeing new opponents because like everybody wrestles different. So when you go to like big tournaments like that, you see a lot of guys. You get a lot of different styles. You got a lot of different ways to like manage. So you learn a lot. It's all about experience in this game. So the more you can get, the better you'll be.
Yeah, especially since we traveled to national tournaments, I think our opponents were a little bit better skill level, and we just had a better understanding of like different opponents out there.
All right. Coach Fisher, any last comments on the team this year?
Yeah, these two definitely will be the leaders of the team. They come with a lot of experience, a lot of heart, a lot of passion for prep wrestling, so I'm excited for them. Excited for all our guys to get back to a little bit of a more normal season. So it'll be fun. Make sure to pack the cage here for even the wrestling tournaments. I'll be talking to a lot of the guys in the hallways. So we'll make sure to get nice crowds back instead of just parents from last year. So I'm excited.
Yep. All right. Creighton Prep Wrestling should be an exciting season. Be sure to pack the cage for these guys. They're excited to represent Prep well and go after a state title. So Coach Fisher, Christian, President, thank you very much for being with us today, and best of luck this season.
Thank you, guys.
Here with the bowling team, we've got Coach Emmanuel on the far side. We have Eddie Cam here, and then Carter Thomas in the middle. So I'll start. Thank you for being here today, guys, and Coach Emmanuel. Appreciate it. So our first question, last year, not only was it the first year of Creighton Prep Bowling, but it was a weird year going through COVID. So what was that experience like last year? Just take me through it, Coach.
It was very interesting because we not only had a new team, but we also had to deal with making sure that everyone stayed healthy and being able to deal with practices. A bowling alley can get quite loud, so it's always hard to kind of be able to coach people when you can't read lips. But I mean, we were able to kind of pull through, and I think what really made the year, despite COVID, be good was the energy that everyone brought, and the excitement and the desire to build a foundation for a strong team. So I think it worked for us.
Yes.
Yeah, so Coach Emmanuel, you mentioned that the goal for last year was to build the foundation. Now that you've done that, now that the first year of NSA bowling experience is under your belt, now that you've got your feet underneath you, what are the goals for the team this year now that the foundation's built? How are you going to build off of that foundation?
Our goal is to keep making strides. We've got some very talented bowlers this year. And our goal is just to continue to be competitive. Last year, we had a bunch of new players, and we were able to compete with some schools with very established bowling programs like Millard West and Millard South and Pius. So our goal this year is to continue being competitive and to start to make footwork and to say, like, Creighton Prep is here and we can bowl and we are competitive in the Metro Conference. And so that's kind of, I think, our big goal. Make some big wins and to create some interesting moments along the way.
So for Carter and Eddie, last year's team, with it being the first year of Prep Bowling, you had a lot of seniors doing it kind of just for fun. Some were a little more competitive, but all of them are gone now, so it's a pretty young team. We've only got a few seniors returning. So what's the mindset of you seniors heading into this year?
Well, I would just say it was very hard when you graduate, 14 seniors, and now me, Carter, and Ian Smet are the only 3 returning players. But I'm still pretty confident in the team. We have a lot of potential. We have a really good sophomore, Jacob Ryan, who has a lot of potential. So we're just excited to get to the season.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, basically what Eddie said. It's like we had to recruit a lot of guys to come in, a lot of friends. But, you just get them into it, and you just start to see them grow after, a few practices, and it's really cool. So, yeah.
So, how do you feel that the team is going to be able to improve this year? You mentioned that lost a lot of seniors, but you've got a lot of good new young players coming up. And, Coach Emmanuel, you could answer this as well. But what do you think the biggest thing that the team can do? What do you think the biggest thing the team can do to make those strides and to start being competitive with those established schools is?
I think the big thing is not only consistency of practice is bowling. It's very unique in the fact that there's a lot that you can do individually outside of practice time. We practice 3 times a week, and a lot of our guys take the time. They'll go on the weekends. They'll really focus, bowl a couple games, and bowling is really a game of repetition. So getting that in there is very important. And just kind of breaking it down to the nuances and to the mechanics as well. We've been able to, now that we have a bunch of people that are familiar, it's getting back down to the mechanics, to arm swing, to form,
Picking up spares,
and also just being able to be resilient. Being able to, when you're having a bad game, being able to turn it around and not only hype up your team, but to kind of get over that mental hump. And that, I think, will be kind of the defining factor of having a successful season.
Yeah, so all 3 of you, I think, can answer this, but bowling is not a sport like football or, say, basketball, where growing up everybody plays it at least some point. You know, maybe you go to the bowling alley with your family on a Sunday for fun at one point or something like that. But for you 3, what is it about bowling that really excites you and makes you want to do it competitively?
I'll leave it up to you guys.
I'll start. Definitely the community. Like, we're obviously, like, the bowling alley can get very, like, compact and tight, and really just, like, building off each other's energy and encouraging your teammates, I think, is what makes it the most fun for me.
Yeah, I think just like last year with the seniors and everything, like Will Lounsbury, he was always just like super hype after like a strike and like got everyone into it. And, you know, I'm sure you guys know Will. Like, he's just kind of like out there, kind of crazy. And it's like awesome. It just gets everyone kind of hyped up in the alley. Yep.
Yeah, and I think the big thing as a coach, what makes bowling so much fun is the sense of community and watching these kids get so invested. I've been bowling my whole life, and so I've always kind of known that joy, but to watch these guys step in, never really having bowled before, and then to find that joy, that sense of community, and the excitement, you know, when you're doing well, I think is such a cool thing to be able to see, but really mainly it's that sense of community, that spirit, and that you can support even your competitors when you're doing well. So it really is just like this big community. I think that's the coolest thing.
That's great.
All right, so what's your favorite bowling memory that you have, whether it's from last year, previously, or heck, even on Wii bowling? Whatever you got.
Do you want me to start?
Yeah.
So probably like competing for state last year, like just starting off in my first game, I think I like got like 6 or 5 strikes in a row. It was like kind of cool, like to see that I actually kind of had a shot to make state. But I didn't make state. It was like I was like 19 pins short, but it's all right. That one's kind of personal with me now. But it was just really cool to like be able to see myself like actually able to compete at that high level. So yeah.
My favorite bowling memory was probably like going off what Miss Emanuel said about like the whole community in Nebraska. Last year at districts, one kid was like 2 strikes away from bowling a perfect game, and it was just so cool to see like everyone like get so hyped up for a kid not even on their team, and you could just like really feel that community bowling built in Nebraska in its first year.
Yeah. There's so much I love. There's a reason I'm the bowling coach. Like there's so much I love about it. It's the community. It's the it's watching everyone succeed. But I think my favorite memory from last year is more just a very funny memory. Is that was it the Millard South game? No, it was when we were at Chops Bowling Alley. So we were probably bowling Bellevue. Is that we had a meet on my birthday, and the whole team decided that was going to be my birthday present.
That's awesome.
Was that we were going to be competitive, and even though we didn't win, it was still a really kind of exciting, kind of fun memory. So, but there's just, you could go on and on about what's so memorable.
Brendan, you got anything else?
No, that's all.
All right, Crane Prep bowling team, Miss Emanuel, Eddie, Carter, thank you for being with us here today. Best of luck this season.
Good luck.
We'll see what we can do. We'll try to get a bowling event on the CP Sports Network. That would be phenomenal.
We would
Brendan
love
and
to.
I can do it.
We would love
to have you. Yeah.
Because these events sound like a lot of fun.
Yes.
The crowd and all that. So.
Oh yeah. Now we'll be able to have a crowd this year. We didn't have any sort of fans last year, so I think you would be in for a very interesting experience.
So, we'll see what we can pull off. Thank you for
We'd
being
love
with us
to
here
do it.
today.
Thank you.
Best of luck this season.
Thank you all.